It says, part 1, Nini extradited. How is his life in prison? A lot of people think that Oakland Leaks is Mini Leak. I don't know that. I don't think y'all know that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can assume he's a masked man. That's for now. People that would know him or people that are more familiar with how a person moves, talks, whatever, might know that. But it is clear that whoever Oakland is, he has his own side of this whole thing. He did a video about how Nini ended up in U.S. custody, and supposedly it was from the Chapitos giving him up. So let's see what Oakland Leaks has to say. This is an English translation that he's been doing on this channel. It might throw you off for a bit. To me, sometimes it sounds a little bit cheesy. You know, that he could have done better. But it is what it is. Let's get it.
How's it going, friends?
Damn.
Sorry for not posting anything about this event, but it was over the weekend and I got really drunk. Honestly, still feeling hungover, but, well, gotta work. And don't get me wrong, please. It's not that I was celebrating at all, what some of you might consider a misfortune for Nini. No, none of that. If not, quite the opposite, because now he has switched teams. I know nobody asked for my opinion. Because you see, others are saying that people are asking them to talk about the extradition of Nini. You see the kind of hallucinations there are. But anyway, I want to contribute some...
I don't know what we're losing in the translation, because it sounds like we're losing something. There's just shit that don't make sense there. He's not getting the humor.
But anyway, I want to contribute something about this topic so you're a bit more informed, as you already know. On Saturday, May 25th, Commander Nini, the terror of Culiacan, was extradited. It was a very quick extradition. As always, true to his nickname of the Fast One, we couldn't expect less from the commander, since he was only in prison in Mexico for 185 days and then never again. I mean, it only lasted about 6 months. That day, they took him out of the Altiplano prison very early to take him to the airport, where DEA agents and a group of marshals were waiting for him. From the United States Marshals Service, Mexican agents handed over Nestor Isidro Perez Salas to the American agents. The first thing they did was read him his Miranda rights, are a set of warnings that law enforcement officers in the United States must provide to someone at the time of arrest. What we've all seen in movies, basically. These are exactly the Miranda rights, you guys. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. The flight from Mexico to New York lasted about just over 5 hours aboard a Falcon plane. Nini left the Altiplano wearing his beige...
Every now and then the voice goes off into its wrestling thing. 5 hours.
...prisoner uniform, as you can see in this photo.
This guy got pictures and shit. Look like he gained some weight. Look like they've been feeding you good. Looks like they haven't been mistreating you. Looks like that level of karma hasn't come for you. Because I'm sure you mistreated many a person.
In this photo. Very good. Well, just as I told you about 3 months ago, journalist Luis Chaparro published the photo of our commander Nini just processed into the marshal system, just like he did with Ratoncito, the same. He published it on his Saga website, that he communicated with some agents who were present during Nini's transfer. Nini made some statements and appeared angry and worried. But hey, first things first, let me say to ignore some really silly things said about the photo. From the one I just showed you that Nini had a lost look. Please, don't turn this into a novela. You only missed to say that he also had a broken heart. Here's the picture I'm telling you about. But anyway, Let's move on to what the
See, we're losing the sarcasm in the translation. We're losing the things that only a human is able to give you.
Agent who talked with Nini said. He says that Commander 09 revealed some words about the Culiacanazo, which happened in 2019. We won the Culiacanazo, we had everything under control, and everything was operating. Great times, exactly. Times that will never come back. And another thing that our friend Nini said, that everything he has, he owes to the Chapitos. And after that, he showed them the tattoo on his leg with the initials IAG, a test of his loyalty. I didn't know a tattoo. It shows high esteem if I know of thousands and thousands of couples who tattoo their partner's name on themselves. And they They commit to forever together, for life. And the next day, they're off flying high with other people. How ignorant to say that because of a tattoo. So, just because Nini has a tattoo as proof of his loyalty, that means he won't talk about his bosses. But well, speaking of them, honestly, I am a bit jealous and bitter. Archie pocketed $3 million in reward from Nini. If I had received it, believe me, that I wouldn't even charge subscriptions? Well, we must continue with what Nini said and what is clear to me. That they are words from Nini. The only thing missing was having a corrido talking about his extradition. Poor guy. You can really tell he has the HPD condition. Signals that he hasn't realized the problem he is in. Hey, Kat. I'm Zamarin, and Zamara returned ever to getting the Smav written about a frame, but well, we already checked that with what PUE released recently, where you can hear Nini crying, but for those who haven't heard it here, it is.
¿Qué dice, compadre PUE? Primero que nada, le quiero decir que lo quiero mucho y le mando un abrazo desde aquí en el Altiplano, Estado de México, y arriba el jefe Chapo Guzmán.
So there's a criminal in the comments somewhere that's going to be mad at me right now because I'm going to say, this guy's tears. Because when you torturing people and you hurting people and you oppressing people, there's no tears. The moment you're in cuffs, still alive, nobody torturing, nobody slapping you, nobody corkscrewing you, you crying like a bitch. And then I'm supposed, because I didn't choose that life, I'm supposed to shut the fuck up about my judgment about him. Man, fuck these guys, man.
Y también el jefe iban archivando hasta la muerte. Y les quede claro que hay 19 ni para rato. Y la camisa no me la quito nunca. Porque esa camisa de los Guzmán me la tatué hace 14 años. Y es para siempre. Saludos y échenle ganas, mi grupo Cartel.
So he crying. He telling them boys, I'm not going to talk.
¿Qué dice, compadre PUE? Primero que nada, le quiero decir que lo quiero mucho.
Before anything, I want to tell you I love you.
Y le mando un abrazo desde aquí en el Altiplano, Estado de México.
I send you a hug.
Y arriba el jefe Chapo Guzmán y también el jefe iban archivando hasta la muerte.
He said, the top guys, Archivaldo and Chapo, until death.
Quede claro que hay 19 ni para rato y la camisa no me la...
Basically saying I'm never going to take off my step off my duties. I'm never going to take off my loyalty, take off my shirt. Just like the tattoo's been there all these years, I'm loyal to y'all. I guess that's what
esa camisa de los Guzmán me la tatué hace 14 años y es para
14 years I've had that tattoo.
Siempre saludos y échenle ganas, mi grupo Cartel.
I was able to talk to one of the agents who transferred him from the airport to the Brooklyn prison, and he told me this. He was treated like any other dangerous prisoner. Hands cuffed, tied at the waist, and also his ankles tied. He was sitting in the van, handcuffed. Surrounded by agents, his gaze was a mix of worry and uncertainty, with eyes constantly shifting back and forth, as if trying to process his new reality. Its face was tense and jaw clenched. I guess it was fear trying to hide. Often he would lick his dry lips and swallow. His hands weren't shaking, but they were clasped together tightly. At some point, he forced a smile, but his anxious eyes betrayed him. I didn't chat with him, but he looked uncomfortable. Well, friends, that's the description of the Nini on the way from the airport to the prison. Here I'll show you some images of an example of how he was tied up. Well, I've heard many things from my Culiacan friends. There's a lot of uncertainty about Nini's extradition. And I've also heard that in Culiacan, they say it's a strategy by their bosses, so that he takes all the blame. Regarding the Fanta issue and those who he resigned. So they are cleared in that aspect, and also for Ovidio to do much better. Well, let me explain that it's complete nonsense since the United States judicial system doesn't work that way. Imagine if it worked like that, the big Posca. They'll pay him a tramp. For him to go and present himself and say that he is guilty of everything, and don't blame them for anything. That's a lie. So please, that's not the case, not at all. He is accused of something, just as every accused person has their charges and no one can take the blame for another. Let that be clear to you. And the uncertainty in Culiacan, well, yes, they must be feeling it, because they know what's going to happen. Let's not play the fool. And more so because, look, I suspect something, I can't assure you, but I have a slight suspicion that the Nini was the one who asked for his quick extradition. Let me clarify, I can't confirm it to you, but later on, that will be known.
Nini said, you gotta get me out of here, bro, right now.
Joe Biden said about Nini's extradition, the United States has accused him of playing a role in illegal fentanyl trafficking and for resigning, torturing, and kidnapping numerous rivals, witnesses, and others. This is a good day for justice. I am grateful to the Mexican president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, his decision to extradite this dangerous criminal. Our government, they will continue working together to tackle the fentanyl and synthetic drug epidemic that's killing so many people in our countries and around the world. Well, you've seen it, and we have to accept it. It's an important event. And I want to ask you a favor. I want that from now on. Stop talking bad about Nini, because he's no longer part of all that mess he used to hang around with. Apparently, is now proudly part of the Stars team. I no longer want you refer to him as 09. Now his new code is Snitch 9. But let's talk a bit more about where S9 is at.
Oh, we were supposed to laugh at that? We would never get that from the translation.
Well, he is currently detained at the MDC in Brooklyn. That's the Metropolitan Detention Center, and please do not make things up. Like the Pocho was there. The Pocho was in the MCC of Manhattan, which is the Metropolitan Correctional Center. Here I am going to show you the picture of where S9 is right now. Upon arrival, they conducted his physical examination, checked him, took notes and photos of all his tattoos, as well as pictures and fingerprints of him. And they placed him into the SA, which is the pictures and fingerprints of him. And they placed him into the SA.
What the fuck is that say doing?
Which is the pictures and fingerprints of him. And they placed him into the SA, which is the special housing unit. He is in a room just for him of about 6 feet by 9 feet, where it has its bed, its toilet, which also serves as a sink and as a source of drinking water. It also features a small seat and a table built into the wall. It has a small walking space of almost 2 meters long. It's good amenities, I think, better than the suite he shared with Marquito as toys. But that's another story. I'm going to show you a picture of a cell, kinda like the one he's in.
Yeah, that's Epstein's cell, bro. Or supposedly Epstein's cell, bro. That's that picture.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you the menu of what he'll be eating every day. At 6 in the morning,
I don't give a
he'll
shit.
get his milk and cereal, with a small piece of bread and a fruit. Every morning it will be the same. At noon, around 11 in the morning, he will receive his meal. That's how it is. It changes every day. For example, on Mondays, he'll have what's called chili bean. What is beans with pieces of meat and rice? On Tuesdays, breaded chicken burger. On Wednesdays, beef burger. On Thursdays, roasted chicken. The Friday fish burger. and Saturdays and Sundays egg with potato and dinner will receive at 4 in the afternoon. Those will vary. He will be locked up 24 hours a day without sunlight, since it will never go out to the patio or anything like that. At most, they will put it in a cage of 5 feet by 5 feet, and that is literally a cage. And it's right there inside the unit where he is. He will be able to shower 3 times a week. And don't worry, in the United States, they don't have to shave their heads. He can keep his hair and beard however he wants. Once a week, he will be able to buy items for his hygiene like soap and such, but unfortunately, he won't be able to have a radio to listen to music, since they have been banned in living units since 2019. Special housing, because with the headphone cable, Jeffrey Epstein hanged himself, and since then they were banned. But the good part, they're going to start selling him envelopes and postage stamps so he can write letters to his wife, his kids, to Marquitos, to Piyuyi. I hope Piyuyi writes him a new song about the extradition. I won't drink until...
There's a lot of songs about that dude. There's a lot of songs about El Nini. All right? Is everybody gonna... If he cooperates, which it seems like that's what's happening, are these songs still gonna hold that weight? You guys are still gonna be like, yeah, play the Nini song. It's my hero.
That corrido composed by S9 himself comes out. Right on. For all the fans and people who want to send letters here, I'm going to show you what you need to do and the address, what you'll have to put to send him a letter. This is the information. You need to write it in the middle part of the envelope. Very well then. I don't know if there's anything else you want to know. You already know it. Leave it in the comments if you want to know something else. The S9 made its first court appearance on Tuesday, May 28. Appeared before the judge, Ona Tiwang, who read the charges to him and set a court date for May 30th at 3 in the afternoon New York time. S9 faces 2 indictments in 2 different districts. The first indictment was filed in the District of Columbia by the section of the Drug Crime Division, where S9 is accused of exporting cocaine and methamphetamine, firearm offenses, and conspiracy to obstruct justice through murders. And the second was filed in the Southern District of New York.
We got that. We're going to do a paperwork party on all of that. He telling now, are they still going to bump his corridos? Now that he's telling, are they still going to bump his corridos at the barbecue and tell the legends of El Nini? How he did so many good things for the community? Name one. Name one. We got brainwashed into thinking that these people were for the people. These people are not for the people.
Is accused of leading a continuous criminal enterprise that resulted in the deaths of several people. Victims, including a confidential DEA source, fentanyl importation and trafficking, obstruction of justice for the murder and kidnapping of informant that resulted in the death of 8 people, including a minor child, and firearms and money laundering crimes. Now I'm going to explain what the U.S. Attorney General says about this character. S9 is one of the main leaders of the security apparatus of the Chapitos. Under Nini's direction, the Chapitos' armed executors, known as hitmen, they have used rampant violence to protect the Chapitos' operation and demolish businesses, capture and dispute territory, intimidate civilians, and attack and murder law enforcement officers who resist their efforts. Under Nini's direction, these hitmen often use firearms and military-grade explosives, including machine guns and rocket launchers to kidnap, torture, and kill anyone who opposed the Chapitos.
The Chapitos, man. Listen, if you choose not to follow the Chapitos, you're going to have a problem, bro.
Anyone who opposed the Chapitos.
Chapitos,
All
man.
this relentless violence has led to widespread bloodshed and has claimed the lives of countless victims. He has also personally committed brutal acts of violence to advance the Chapitos trafficking operations. Jesus Alfredo and Ivan Archibaldo tortured, interrogated, and killed 2 Mexican federal law enforcement agents. Around May of 2017, Nini, with Ivan and Alfredo and others, he captured 3 members of a rival drug cartel, specifically from the Zetas, and they were tortured with electric shocks before being interrogated and killed. Also in 2017, Nini and the Chapitos conspired to kill...
Come on, the Chapitos, man. You know, you gotta know who the Chapitos is, man.
...and take revenge against a witness and informant. And in 2022, Nini and O27, or PSA, they tested the potency of their fentanyl on individuals and also experimented on a woman by injecting her, suddenly trying the dangerous drug until she overdosed and died.
Look at that.
In addition, Nini has personally taken part in
Listen, as a human being, when you've gotten to the point, and this is the problem is, you know what it is that even the people that are in the comments that be like, you know, promoting for these guys, like, these are my guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand, man, you consider good people to the type of people that these people are. Because if you have that kind of power, once you get to, you're using people as lab rats and you're using people, that's it. It's what you were is gone. You know what I'm saying? And the only time you'll see it again is when they put the cuffs on you and that first tear rolls down your cheek and them first words come out your mouth. These guys was, you know, they was guinea pigging people.
Negotiating and selling large quantities of fentanyl. More specifically, in the summer of 2022, Nini and other associates sold fentanyl that was seized by the DEA in Los Angeles. During the course of these sales, among other things, Nini described he owned his own fentanyl labs and 3 fentanyl cooks from one of his labs had recently died from testing the product because it was too potent. At last, most recently, in October 2023, Nini and other hitmen acting under his direction kidnapped a confidential source from the DEA and to another 10 people in Mexico, including a United States citizen, so that who Nini thought worked or were related to the confidential source, Nini and his hitmen killed 8 of the kidnapped victims, including the DEA's confidential source, and to a 13-year-old child. Nini kidnapped and killed these victims in retaliation for providing information from the confidential source of the DEA regarding the investigation of Nini and his associates in the Southern District of New York. New York. Nini, a 32-year-old Mexican citizen, is accused in the New York indictment of 1 count of engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise resulting in death that entails a mandatory life sentence, 1 charge of conspiracy to import fentanyl into the United States, which carries a penalty, mandatory minimum of 10 years in prison, and a maximum sentence of life imprisonment, a charge of conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute fentanyl, carrying a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years, and a conviction, a maximum life sentence, a charge of use. Carrying and possessing machine guns and destructive devices, regarding the ongoing criminal enterprise, and the conspiracy to import and traffic fentanyl, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 30 years in prison.
Your average loose cannon gunner on the street, you give him that power, and that's what he's going to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's my question. You hear all these life... top of the scale life sentences over here, right? If he talks How much time you really think he's gonna do? All those bodies on his jacket, all of that. How much time you think that guy's really gonna do?
And a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. A charge of conspiracy to use, carry, and possess machine guns and destructive devices in relation to the continues the criminal enterprise and the conspiracy to import and traffic fentanyl, which carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. A charge of conspiracy to launder money carrying a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. An obstruction of justice charge by retaliating against an informant through of a murder that carries a mandatory life sentence. A charge of conspiracy to obstruct justice by retaliating against a whistleblower through murder, which involves a mandatory life sentence, a kidnapping charge resulting in death, including a minor, carrying a mandatory life sentence.
If it was him, if it was one of his soldiers, whatever. You gotta take out babies, huh? Babies gotta go too.
One charge for conspiracy to commit kidnapping resulting in death, including a minor, which entails to a mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years in prison and a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. He's a suspect from the Columbia District accusation for a charge of conspiracy to import cocaine and methamphetamine into the United States.
He's a suspect.
He's a suspect from the Columbia District accusation for a charge of conspiracy to import cocaine and methamphetamine into the United States, which carries a minimum mandatory sentence of 10 years in prison and a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. A charge of using, carrying, and possessing machine guns and destruct devices in relation to the cocaine conspiracy. And methamphetamine, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 30 years in prison and a maximum sentence of life imprisonment, and a charge of conspiracy to obstruct justice by retaliating against a witness and informant through murder, which entails a mandatory sentence of lifetime in prison. Well, friends, you've heard the situation with that S9. It's really messed up, honestly. Just as he said, it's very screwed up. Look, he faces fentanyl charges, but that's not the worst part. Realize they killed a DEA informant and not just anyone. He also killed his relatives, innocent people, among them a child. Realize the mindset of these twisted people. It's truly abusive. So, you see, messing with that is no...
Now, this is where I talk about the agendas. Like, we're going to get into the abuses on the other side, too. You know what I'm saying? There's abuses everywhere.
Joke. And many think it's a piece of cake, saying, I kill, I order killings, and I command. No one touches me. No one tells me anything because I'm the boss, because I'm the main one. Well, here it is. It's well documented so that you understand how long the Nini lasted after he killed those people. Because you see, he killed until he got tired. For many years, he committed countless injustices and walked around as if nothing had happened. But what did he do? He killed...
The guy in the deli does not know how to say unalive. That's a fact.
...an informant and his relatives. And look, how many days did it last? It only lasted 25 days. That's how long the Nini lasted. He killed them on October 28th and was caught on November 22nd. It took 25 days to catch him. After he murdered the young people from Tamazula, Durango, and very bravely, according to him, he left them a message that because of snitches, you already saw the problem's magnitude, because you already saw that this was the beginning of his downfall. And now that he has just arrived, extradited pretty quick within 6 months, and fewer. And you've seen the minimum sentence for killing an informant. If you all know the name of the informant, it's Alexander Mesa Leon. Well, there it is for those people who are in that scene to realize. This is not a game, and those deaths were in Mexico. Now imagine in the USA, if they did something like that, how long do you think they would last? Think about all those tough and brave ones who supposedly dare everything. And they eat it while it's still burning? I had already told you since the last episode when I talked about Caro Quintero. He screwed himself over for what he did to Camarina. And I told them too, kill an informant or their family and they'll never stop chasing you. And not only the one who committed it, but also the one who put it in place, the one who helped, and the one who covered it up. All of them. For everyone, they will all fall also. I mentioned, for instance, with the informant they killed in Colombia, the very famous 2000, that the drug lord Diego Leon Montoya ordered his killing. See why there? The agency...
What the f*** did he say?
They killed in Colombia, the very famous 2000, English,
motherfucker, do you speak it?
That the drug lord Diego Leon Montoya ordered his killing. See why there? The agencies do everything. They make and unmake, offer, negotiate until they achieve what they want. And don't think Nini is the only one who'll get scraped up over those deaths of the informant and the family. I already told you that everyone who participated there, the one who wrote the message, the one who drove even though he did nothing, everyone who helped and was involved in one way or another. Everyone will get their share, and you saw it's not just anything. And obviously, Nini's bosses too. Why? Because that's how the justice system works. If a gunman or a worker does something, kills someone, all the trouble falls on the cartel boss. Why? Because he is the boss of everyone who works under his commands. Anyone who does something wrong does it to help and protect the organization. And whose organization is it? Obviously, the boss's. And it is also assumed that these people, those workers, do these acts with the boss's approval. In other words, as if it were served on a tray. So now you know. Where does that path lead, and what direction do all involved follow? Trafficking is one thing. Killing informants is another, and only fools do that because their path ends there. And the whole conspiracy, all the conspirators are going to be done for. I don't want to jump ahead, but another one's going to fall. And then I'll create an awesome episode about 5 hours long, even more. I'll do it like Cameline. I'm going to make a whole series. Okay, friends, you more or less understand the whole show. Now I'm going to explain a bit more, to make you understand what else is happening in this environment. What is the Nini going to do? Declared not guilty at Thursday's hearing in New York before Judge Catherine Polk Failla. He showed up in his khaki uniform and wearing orange Crocs, cuffed at his feet, waist, and hands. The prosecution said there was plenty of evidence against Nini, and that they would be revealing it little by little as the process advanced. Nini's hearing was attended by his family, it seems. He was represented by the lawyer, Andrew Patil. I'm shocked because the mighty boss of Nini was crying in court. I can't believe it. If he's the most powerful, the bravest, the baddest, the one who mocked everyone, the one who was going to run off the Maito Flaco from Salado, and the one who was going to take on El Russo. And that's... And what else did he say that made the Omega cry? Boasting that his enemies were crying. I don't remember who it was who said he made someone cry. How can it be possible that this young man who neither asked questions nor left anyone alive is a crybaby? You see, it's not the same to kill while tied up. That doesn't mean bravery, nor does swearing a lot on the radio show courage. Well, friends, here ends the first part of this story.
Y sí, se trataba de El Nini, quien según la Fiscalía del Registro, según la ficha del Registro Nacional de Detenciones de la Secretaría de Seguridad, fue capturado en esta casa
captured at this house
blanca que vemos en pantalla, una casa ubicada en la calle Villachoix del fraccionamiento Colinas de la Ribera, la cual se encuentra a 1,5 kilómetros del fraccionamiento Tres Ríos, donde en 2019 se llevó a cabo la fallida detención
So they said, what, 1.5 kilometers from where the Culiacanazo happened, or I don't know.
De Ovidio Guzmán, lo que recordamos como el Jueves Negro o el Culiacanazo. En esta propiedad, elementos de la Guardia Nacional capturaron a este sujeto, que se presume es el Nini, cuando...
Oh, he up on the roof, boy. Was he trying to climb down? Did he climb up? Wait a minute, where'd he come from?
Presume es el Nini cuando trataba de escapar por la azotea de la vivienda.
He's in his drawers. They got him on the rooftop in his drawers. That boy thought about jumping a whole bunch of times. Oh, they licked shots at him. They licked shots at him to keep him from... He was going to scare... I don't know what he was going to do. He was going to go, what, hang and go hands first? Feet first? I don't know what he thought he was going to do. But it looked like they licked shots at him to stop him from doing that. Yeah, they did. They busted at the wall. That's it. They got him. And now he's in tears talking about, I'm not telling on nobody. All right, we gonna see, bro. We gonna see if the songs stick.